Hey traders, how's it going? It's Scott Schneider with a Shadow Short coming at you from the live trading suite over in the futures room. I'm actually sharing with you guys something that usually just goes out to the members of the live trading suite, whether they're in the, either one of those two rooms. Anytime before I do a live session, I always do a evening briefing. And so this is what that looks like. We kind of go over where the broader markets are, what, we're seeing under the hood, how the internals were that day, and what we're looking for tomorrow. So this is the SPX weekly candlestick chart. And you can see that, we are above the 8 EMA and the 21 EMA. The 8 is the purple cross, the 21 is the orange. Got a really nice pinch. Been heading, just straight up pretty much since the April lows. Very little give back, which is why when we look like a little more granular using like the profile, we see some structure that's not fantastic. At the same time, we are really, heading towards these all-time highs. And so it seems like one way or the other, the market is either going to break above the high made in February 2025, and we see just, continuation, or maybe it's going to grind out there on bad structure, look above it, hit 6,200, and then come back in. And so, nobody can predict that. Nobody can call for that, but we know what to look for. And we want to see not just price confirming, we do want to see volume, and we do want to see time. And so one thing that's been happening is we have been getting some time acceptance in the form of value, which has been quite elevated. So this is the ES profile using Window Trader. And I just have the RTH session, so I do not have the overnight. And today we had an inside day, meaning that the entirety of today's range from the high to the low was inside yesterday's range. So that's really, the way we look at that is a form of balance. Shout out to Dalton. And we also have value, which is the blue shaded area you see on the screen. It makes up 70% of the day's activity. It's unchanged. So you can see that today's blue shaded area is right inside of yesterday. And that's always something you want to pay attention to. And value has been creeping up pretty steady the entire month of June. And we closed. So this huge profile you see here, I'll put a little Crayola to the left. Yeah, right here. That is the entire profile of the month of May. And if you notice, the high, which is over here, the blue shaded area, which is the value area high, it closed near the high of the month. And that's always a sign of strength. Now, did it occur on maybe not the best structure? Yeah. We have some gaps. They're still unrepaired. We have single prints, distributions unrepaired. But that's the market. It's not a textbook. So June, it kind of makes sense that value would continue to trend higher. Now, one thing that can be going on right now, and I think I'm seeing it in the structure, and you guys might be too, is the market seems to be potentially getting a little too long, and it might need to break before it rallies more. Now, again, I'm not calling for that, just like I'm not calling for the all-time highs. I am just prepared for both situations. Now, one thing to the downside we have not observed. So, going back to today's profile, one, we have a distribution in B period that go from, this is on the ES now, it goes from 60.2650 to 60.2875. And in the middle of that, you have the RTH high of the 9th, which is just an anchor. But as long as buyers stay above in the RTH session to, overnight, and then more importantly, tomorrow, as long as they stay above 60.2650, for the moment, the auction remains to the upside. The reason why I'm suggesting that we might be getting a little too long and we might need to come in a little bit is because today's low has not been able to get below the previous day's low. So the 12th couldn't get below the 11th. The 11th couldn't get below the 10th. So we're just making higher lows every day. And that's been going on since the 6th. And if you notice these, like, I'll circle them, these turquoise areas, letters, TPOs. So that's where the time point of control is on my profile. And the time point of control, and this is another Daltonism, we look at it as the fairest price to do business. So it's where the most amount of time was spent in a given session. So for instance, this is the session of June 6th, and you could see that, you know, the TPO point of control, the fairest price to conduct business that day, is actually pretty far removed from the highs. It would be a little, you know, stronger if you saw it develop closer to the highs rather than below the day's halfback. And that has been going on. You know, that's not just an outlier. That's been every day pretty much in the month of June. So almost every session since, you know, we've started this month, the time point of control, the place where we conduct, you know, the fairest place to conduct business intraday, has not been migrating higher at the end of the session. Now, is that you know, the end all be all? No, but it's a nuance that you want to be aware of. You want to see, you know, is price just advertising higher at the end of the day because short-term traders who thought today was going to be the day that we got below the previous day's low, and that does not happen, how do they have to get out of those short-term daytime positions? Because they can't, you know, they don't have the margin. They have to buy to close. They have to buy to cover. That's old business. That's taking business out of the market. So what I think we're missing right now is, and this is seen in today's high, which was developed at the end of the day, you know, so that in the last, you know, 10, 15 minutes of the session, we made the high. And it was, in my opinion, done on the heels of old business, meaning buyers who were looking for price to go lower. It didn't happen. By the time the day was over, they had to buy, they covered. And even with that added bonus, buyers still couldn't get outside of yesterday's range to the upside. So, yes, a couple things can be true. Sellers are not getting anything done. They're pretty much absent, and you want to think that as long as you see price above on the ES 6026, that you are fine, and we could still continue to go higher. Then when we look at the highs, again, today's high is poor. So it lacks excess. Auctions, you know, in terms of auction theory, you need excess for the auction to end. This session has not enough of it. It's lacking it. Now we're going to compound that with yesterday's session, which is, you know, all of today's session occurred inside of yesterday's session. That high on the 11th also lacks excess. Yes, it has a 2 ticks minimum, but it's 2025. The average true range is way different back in the day, back when, you know, Stoudemire was doing things. We also have, and this is true in the NQ as well, the overnight high from the 11th being the swing high of this, like, sequence. So of the month of June, it's the high. And generally, we will not see that, you know, hold, and that's also true for NQ. I'll take a quick glance over on the NQ for my NQ folks. I've been trading more NQ recently myself. You know, just been in a better flow with it. But it's very similar. So, you know, you can see that today, similar to ES, was an inside day. So just a form of balance. And the overnight high from the 11th is the high of this sequence. So, you know, ideally, you would see that done in the RTH session. We haven't gotten below the previous day's low in a while, you know, similar to NQ since like the 6th. And, you know, on the weekly, it just looks like we're heading up to reach all-time highs. So key levels in the SPX 6050, NDX 22,000. The last thing I'll say about today's point of control from a time standpoint on NQ is, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit on NQ. I know that it seems a little hard to see, but I wanted to make sure that it was, you know, getting the whole picture. And you can see a lot of highs and lows very close together. So whether prices resolve above the high of the 11th, or on, this is with ES or NQ, or below the low of the 11th, you have a lot of lows near there. So you could get like a bunch of stops triggered below. So you just want to look out for that on any liquidation breaks. Again, if we stay above 60.26, you're good in the ES. And today's level that I think is very important in the NQ for tomorrow is going to be 21,930. Are we above or are we below that level? It's going to be important. Today, that level was very sticky. We had 13 periods today, which is every period but the first 30 minutes of the day, spent time at 21,930. So it was a prominent point of control. So that's going to be your NQ level. We also digested a 30-year bond that went well today. A 10-year note yesterday was well received. And I think that, you know, could have an impact on yields, which had been, you know, kind of an issue. We have University of Sentiment tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. We also digested CPI and PPI this week, and those also came in pretty good, splendid. So let's be safe, let's trade smart, let's have our wits about us, let's end the week strong, and I hope to see you guys in the room. Peace. Hey, this is Scott Schneider from the Futures Room over at ShadowTrader's Live Trading Suite. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to trade live with me in real time, please click the link in the description below. Have a great day and happy trading.